Greetings to all Africans on the continent and to all Africans around the world. This is King Atri from Southern Cameroon and Bazonia. I have an article here that I saw from face-to-face-Africa.com. It was written 3 years ago, but it's as vital as it is today. Racist attacks on Africans in India hit unprecedented levels. Racist attacks on Africans in India hit unprecedented levels. So let's go. I'm going to read this article and then I'm going to have a discussion about this article because Africans are unwanted people all over the world. It doesn't matter where you are. You are the most wanted people who happens to be treated anyhow the rest of the world see fit. And that nonsense must stop. Previously, a lot of people thought racism only existed in the West. But the latest incidents in the Middle East and Asia, where black people are subjected to all manner of abuses, have proved that racism is a global problem. Of course, racism is a global problem. Africans, racism is a global problem. But it's a problem that we Africans must unite and fight against. Because if we don't, we're gonna be killed single-handedly and killed for whatever reason. And in India, where they have one of the most populated country in the world, they are group-minded people that will attack you in a mob way, and they don't give a fuck what is happening. They don't give a damn, especially when they're doing that to black people. So, African brothers and sisters, it's time for us to wake up. It doesn't matter if you're from East Africa, it doesn't matter if you're from Central Africa, it doesn't matter if you're Northern Africa, it doesn't matter if you're from West and Central Africa or Southern Africa. We have a problem. We are the most unwanted people in the world, and the world treats us as they see fit. Just 2 days ago, the world watched in disbelief a video of a Nigerian man being beaten senselessly with sticks by a group of Indians for allegedly stealing some valuables. Police reports indicate that the incident took place in Savitri Nagar, New Delhi, on the 24th September 2017. 3 years old, but it's as vital to discuss today as any other day. So a group of Indians decided to beat up one African for allegedly stealing something. According to BBC, police in Delhi have since arrested 5 suspects in connection with the horrifying incident. They also arrested the victim for alleged theft. In the disturbing video, the Nigerian man appears to be tied to a post as the crowd beats him mercilessly with sticks. They tied one black man, and a group of them were beating the black man. This is a natural phenomenon that is happening to African people or black people all over the world. It doesn't matter where you are. It is happening, and it will continue to happen. It's not going to stop. So Africans, pan-Africanism is our new religion. Pan-Africanism is our new God. And in order for this God to protect us, in order for this religion to protect us, we must think group mentality. Africa first, nothing else. Residents of Savitri Naga have accused the man of breaking into neighbor's house and attempting to steal valuables. It is a case of attempted burglary. Those living in the house got alerted. They caught him and beat him up. A Delhi police spokesman told the press. The latest incident is just one of many racist attacks being met out of Africans in India. Sadly, the incident appeared to be happening more frequently and while the Indian government remains mum about them. Of course, what would the Indian people do? What would the Indian government do? The Indian government don't give a fuck about African people. They don't give a damn about African people. And what is most aching is the fact that the African government does not give a damn about African people. That is the most aching part. So Africans, the time is coming that we must rise against all the leadership in Africa, all the government in Africa, because the government in Africa and the leadership in Africa is against the people of Africa. 7 months ago, 5 Nigerian students were attacked by fellow students in Delhi, while another black man was attacked by a crowd inside a shopping mall on allegations of being a drug trafficker. So they don't have any proof. So long as, whenever they feel like something is happening or whatever is going on with them, they just see a black man, they attack and they accuse the black man for whatever reason. And some of these black people are unfortunate because they're beaten to death. It's a bad way to die. It really is. The attacks were triggered by the death of an Indian student after an alleged drug overdose, which was blamed on Nigerian students living in the area. Some locals even accused the Nigerian students of cannibalism. Cannibalism. They are accusing Nigerians of cannibalism. Interesting. Last year, similar attacks were reported in different parts of India, including one in which a Congolese man was killed by a mob in Delhi under unclear circumstances. In February the same year, a Tanzanian female student was attacked and partially stripped by a mob in Bongolo after an Indian woman was accidentally run over by a car being driven by a drunken Sudanese student. So a drunken Sudanese student hit somebody. And then somebody who was passing by, a Tanzanian female, got lashed, was beaten by a mob of people and stripped of her clothes. She had nothing to do with it. So long as you're an African in India, something is happening, you are unsafe. It's as simple as that. India was not meant for Africans. Indian was not meant for Africans to go and reside over. They don't give a fuck about Africans. And they also need to leave Africa. But the only way for them to leave Africa is when Africans decide to rise and kick them out as well. But so long as Africans keep silent, so long as they're weak, so long as Africans are weak-minded, so long as they cannot have the strong will, the determination to fight against their enemies, this nonsense of African abusation will continue and will not stop. The angry mob pounced on the 21-year-old student as she passed by the accident site moments after it happened. She didn't even know the Sudanese student. Spontaneous attacks and accusations of cannibalism, prostitution, drug trafficking, all laced with racist undertones, are common occurrences that Africans living in India have to grapple with almost on daily basis. So Africa in India happen to go through all type of shit by the Indians in order to survive. And the reason why Africans are leaving Africa is because of the bad governments. It's because of the bad leadership that makes stupid, ridiculous contracts with countries like India, countries like China, countries like Russia, countries like all over the West. Countries, the fucked up contracts that they make with countries all over the West is the reason why Africans are forced to leave Africa, even at the point of swimming across the ocean to go into Europe. That is the bad leadership. So Africans, we must rise against this bad leadership. Because the time is coming when the Chinese will control Africa. And these leaders who are president will not be there because they'll be long gone. They'll be dead and gone. And the people of Africa will have to suffer because of their action or because of their inability to act and protect the people of Africa and protect the continent of Africa. Unfortunately, the Indian government has been disturbingly quiet about the attacks, only promising to carry out thorough investigation after an attack has happened. Who gives a fuck about an investigation when the people are already killed or beaten? This continued denial by Indian authorities has hampered efforts to end the racist attacks. The racist attacks will not end. It would not end. The racist attack would not end. In India, it would not end. In China, it wouldn't end. Anywhere in Asia, it wouldn't end. Anywhere in the West either, it would not end. This is something that started 600 years ago. This is something that started when Europeans came to Africa and took out blacks and to sell as slaves. This is something that was created. It's a blueprint of the West, and the rest of the world uses it to abuse. And they use it to continuously abuse Africans. It will not stop, my African brothers and sisters. But we, the Africans, must stop this through Pan-African revolution. Pan-African revolution and Pan-African religion is the way forward. It's the way that we must use to survive and thrive. Unity is the key for the survival of African people. All these countries that have been created in Africa, states that have been created in Africa, the 54, 55, even 56 countries that have been created must be put back to one African continent. That's the way forward. That's the only way Africa can have a strong military. That's the only way Africa can have a strong economy to sustain the livelihood of all African people. African governments are also not doing enough to guarantee their citizens living in India adequate security. Ironically, millions of Indians are peacefully coexisting with Africans and running successful businesses across Africa. So Africans, these successful businesses that are being run by Indians in Africa, well, it's time to make a stop on that. The only way to make that stop is when Africans unite and tell those Indians who are living in Africa that they must also go because they don't want us in India. And people in India are suffering because of their action of their people. It's an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. The world does not forgive and forget. Look at what is happening across the world. So long as a country is powerful, they will do whatever it takes to keep their country surviving. That means exploiting and using other people from different countries, especially African people. Especially African people. This will not stop. Life is war. To survive, we must fight this war. Everybody is against Africa, but are exploiting the resources of Africa. You hear Bill Gates talk about depopulation of Africa. You hear Bill Gates talk about, vaccinating Africa from the coronavirus. You hear white French doctors talking about testing the coronavirus vaccine on Africans before on the people who are suffering the most. The world doesn't give a damn about Africa. Even that World Health Organization, does not give a damn about Africa. They don't. They may have a black man as the president or whatever of the of World Health Organization. That don't mean shit. He's just a figurehead, but the people around him are the one telling him what to do. I once said this when President Barack Obama was president. One thing he regretted after stepping down from president is the fact that he had to kill Gaddafi. But you know why he had to kill Gaddafi? Because of the people that surrounded him. Those people instructed him. They told him, you have to take Gaddafi, and he had to make a decision. He was pressured to do so. And after that, he has realized that that was one of his biggest mistakes, taking out Gaddafi. He himself regretted it. So it doesn't matter if you're a black man and the president of the United States. It doesn't matter if you're the president of World Health Organization as a black person. You don't control shit in there. The people who are around you, the whites, they are the one who are calling the shots. So Africa, unfortunately, the African Union does not call the shot when it comes to the African people, because they are part of the organization of the world. They are part of the organization of the white supremacy power, or the white structure power. The African Union is part of the white structure power. In other words, the West controls Africa, and China is trying to take control from the West through Africa, which is why they are so much involved in sending money and putting money in Africa and controlling shit that they don't control or don't have control over. So my African brothers and sisters, it's time to rise. It's been more than time for us Africans to rise. And the only way to rise is to unite through pan-Africanism, through pan-African revolution, through pan-African religion. We must make pan-Africanism into a religion that every African believes and stand and fight for and even die for. An African God, you may call it. But this is King H. Till next time.